All right, let's talk about something that most firefighters misunderstand drastically, and that is that doing more cardio is actually killing your fat loss as a firefighter. During this video, I'm going to show you the exact same method that I used as a full-time firefighter just north of Detroit to double my bottle time from 20 to 40 minutes on a 45-minute bottle in just 3 months' time. And it doesn't just work for me, it also worked for Angie, who's a client of mine who doubled her own bottle time. And not only that, she was able to lower her resting heart rate by 15 beats per minute and lose 25 pounds in the process while simultaneously running circles around all the guys that she works with. Sorry, you might not like it, but it's true. Now, if you want access to the very same program that I used and Angie used to get those kind of results, then I'm going to invite you to apply to our program down below in the link. At least check out the free 12-week firefighter fat loss protocol that we have. And if coaching is a good fit, then we can talk about that too. All right, let's get on to the video. All right, so we're going to talk about how cardio is killing fat loss and what you should do instead. So here's what I need you to drive into your brain when we're understanding cardio, and that is that when you do high intensive cardio, higher heart zones, 3, 4, 5, you are entering into an area where your body is going to prioritize not burning fat, but burning carbohydrates. It works this way because when you're doing high intensive cardio, your body is going to seek the path of least resistance and the quickest energy source it can find. So it switches into a pathway where it's using 100% carbohydrates for its energy source for the duration of that activity. Now, what does this translate to? When you're doing high intensive cardio, you're not burning any fat in that exercise. You might be burning muscle tissue, you might be burning carbohydrates, but you're not burning fat. And you can see examples of this when people get skinny fat. It's because all they do is focus on cardio. They're not building and maintaining muscle tissue in the process, and it's actually negative body composition. On top of this, as a side note, doing excessive cardio is also going to significantly impact your appetite and is going to impact your ability to adhere to the calories you should be eating for fat loss, which is going to make everything more difficult. All right, so what should you do instead? Well, first let's talk about how to improve cardio without adding more of it. The point of this video isn't to highlight that cardio is bad, it's to highlight that you don't need to do it every day, and in fact, you probably shouldn't. There are other ways to improve your cardiovascular fitness without adding more. So without adding more volume, how do we do this? We can do it in 3 ways. And the first way is going to be improving your movement efficiency. When you start to move more efficiently, you start to move more effectively. And when you move more effectively, you are spending less energy for every movement that you do. Think of it like this. Maybe right now you're walking around moving at like a 70% efficiency. So everything that you do, every motion, even walking, takes an extra 30% of energy than you wouldn't need to use if your body was just more in alignment and had no muscle imbalances. After that, we have to talk about actually reducing your body fat. It's no doubt that the more tissue you have, the harder your heart has to work to provide oxygen to all of those tissues. Now, technically, this is true for muscle tissue as well, but we know that muscle tissue serves a functional purpose, at least up to a certain amount. I am not telling you to go and be a jacked bodybuilder type who doesn't work on any kind of strength training, because you will get the same result and struggle with bottle time all the same. If you're a firefighter, you've probably seen that jacked firefighter that has a hard time on the fire ground. Now, fat tissue, on the other hand, doesn't really serve any functional purpose outside of saving you from starving. And hopefully, if you're listening to this and you're a full-time firefighter, then you're going to realize that that's not your situation. So we can be down, at least as men, down to 7-8% body fat without any negative hormonal damages. And for women, going as low as like 18 to 23% and still be okay. So any excess tissue outside of that is just going to be harder on your heart to provide oxygen to all of the tissues in your body, especially the ones that need the most. So what am I saying? We got to cut down on the excessive body fat. That means you have to trim away the unessentials. That is the way to actually lower your resting heart rate and improve your cardiovascular fitness all around. Think of it like wearing a weighted vest where you can't take it off. So that's weight that your body is carrying not only on your joints, but tissue that your heart has to perfuse even at rest. Lastly, once movement is in alignment, once we have a good body composition, we have to talk about actually building and training for strength to make your muscles actually functional and to make it so that you can do the tasks that you need to do with the least amount of effort possible. We have to get you moving well in a good body composition and then moving as strong as possible with correct movement patterns. When you combine all of these concepts together, you're going to find yourself in a position to be massively increasing your bottle time without having to add 3 or 4 hours of cardio a week just to get the same result. As a firefighter, you have to realize it's your duty and obligation to be as effective with your training as possible and to include as much recovery into your routine as you can, because you have to keep it up for 20 or 25 years because of the career that you have. This is an added responsibility that the general population isn't going to understand, and a pressure that they'll never have to go through. But since you signed the dotted line and since you took the oath, it is something that you have to concern yourself with if you haven't started already. And this method doesn't just work for me, and it didn't just work for Angie. We have plenty of other examples. Take Forrest, for example, who's a Memphis firefighter who lost 25 pounds in his first 3 months. And he did this only working out 2 times per week. Not only is he able to perform at a level that he has not been able to do since he started, but now he is actually setting the example for some of the new probies that are walking in the front door at his own department. Or we could talk about Steve, who's an FDNY firefighter, and Steve came into the program with pre-existing injuries. He was actually off on injury during his probation. And with the help of this program, not only did we get him back up to speed and pain-free again, but we got it so that he could crush and pass his probation altogether in the months that followed that. Lastly, we have to talk about Kyle, who was able to lose 140 pounds over the course of a year and a half, with 40 of those pounds coming off in his last 3 months. And he used to be a person that trained 5-6 days a week until it led to an injury. Then he was able to break through his plateau by training 2 to 3 times a week and actually focusing on his recovery so that he could show up as the best version of himself that he could possibly be. So here's the thing. All 3 of these examples have one thing in common, and that is that they showed up and they were willing to do the work. They didn't show up and say, hey, I signed up for the program. Why didn't my problems evaporate? They took responsibility for what they had to do, and they actually followed through. So if that sounds like something that you would benefit from, if it sounds like, hey, I am that type of person who just needs the help, who needs the guidance, who needs the resources, but I am willing to do the work that is necessary. I just don't know where to start. If that's you, then one more time, I'm going to invite you to apply and at least check out the free 12-week fat loss protocol that I made specifically for firefighters. And that being said, if you aren't in that category, if you are the type of person that expects to be spoon-fed, who wants their hand held the entire way, who wants to have the work done for them, then please, for the love of God, stay away from this program. Outside of that, I'll just leave you with this, which is, remember, being in shape is part of the uniform, and the only person that can do anything about that is you. Until next time.